let's see, today is Thursday, the 20th of August. Present are Elaine Wickstrom and Karen Chandler and myself, June Miller. Hosting is Mary Arata with Victoria Flynn from the COA. Is that good?
You're fine. Go right ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
And Elaine wants to speak about the HVAC system in the curatorial building.
Okay. I did speak with Barry, regarding my talking with the fellow from Paul from Nokra Oil, and Paul was making an appointment with Barry, another appointment with Barry to go over and measure and with his electrician for the curatorial building, because he has an alternate plan that he thinks would be better than what Barry was proposing. Would be the right thing for the building. So I don't know if Barry, if they, I don't know. I haven't heard a word. And I was hoping that Barry would have the information today, but
yeah, because last time we spoke, Barry indicated Paul was going to be coming in a few days. Wasn't that the impression you got?
Well,
right. They did have that meeting, and but Barry just gave him the information that he wanted to have done, and so when I spoke with Paul, I said, I think we'd like to have, yes. Are you?
Barry's here.
Okay. Okay.
Barry, the meeting is started. They called it the meeting just to talk about the curatorial building. So if you want to go ahead, your mic is open and your camera's on. Barry,
Well,
good.
I've had a terrible time getting on this morning. I don't know. It's spent 20 minutes doing this. Anyway, curatorial building, yes. They're supposed to come and have the electrician measure on Monday.
Can you explain the two options?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to get two prices, and we'll see what we think of them.
And the prices, just basically, what are the two options? Like what would actually be different about one?
It's the Mitsubishi system that was originally suggested and that we had been planning to put in is one that does not work below when you get down around 0 temperature, and it just shuts off. And that's why we had our little electric heater that we were going to put in the thing to take care of it is the auxiliary. And that's the one that heated our previous building for over 10 years just fine. And the second system is they call a split system. It's a different model of the air conditioning setup, and that one is supposed to work even when it gets super cold. So we're waiting for, they're going to come and have the electrician measure so that they can complete their estimates, and when we have those, we'll be able to do it. And it may be that we'll call a special meeting once we have them so that we can move it ahead.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and the only other thing, the only other question I had on the when we met with Margaret and Tim at the Bullard House,
Yeah.
we talked about, when that was finished, we talked about shelving units at the curatorial building.
Oh, yeah.
And can you give me a measurement, I mean, the depth and the length that they have to be? And I can look into it.
They're 3x4 shelves. Excuse me, that's wrong. 2x3. They're 2 feet deep and 3 feet long. And they've got to be the good heavy shelving units. They can't be cheap stuff. I can tell you fast enough when I'm looking at it, but I can't tell you when I'm what the spec has to be on them. But they've got to be the good heavy shelves. We've got
Okay.
some of the cheaper ones. They work, but they aren't as good.
So do you happen to know off the top of your head how far it is? That one, we talked about what point to what point. Would that be 9 feet at least? 9 or 12 feet?
What? Oh, across the
The
room?
distance on that wall, on that back wall.
Yeah, it's 12 feet because I've got 12 feet of shelves I was planning to put there.
Okay. Okay, I will look into that and have that information. Do we want to go back to our agenda, to the minutes?
Anything to be said on the minute? Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second,
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. All those in favor? Oh, I know, I've got to do a
Roll call.
roll call. Agar, aye.
June, I.
Karen,
Dawn?
I.
All right. Kay is aye, and Elaine?
Elaine, aye.
Okay, unanimous vote. The Bullet House project, we know what's going on with Tim, and I don't know that there's anything we need to talk about more about that now.
He's tied up for a little bit. Until when, did he say? I can't remember. About another week or two before he can start?
Oh, he said it, yeah, he said it be at least 2 weeks before he get back there, and maybe more. In fact, in retrospect, I wondered whether, the 30-day thing issue should have been discussed at that time, but I mean, I'm not unwilling to give him more than 30 days if he needs it, but and I don't think any of us are, but I just don't want us to get too far
Right.
on that.
Well, I think he said it would only take a week for him to do the actual survey, then he'd have to write it up.
Yeah, but he did say it was going to be a while before he could actually come. So
Exactly. So
I just don't know. But we'll if we haven't seen him if he hasn't come in, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks, I guess we should give him a call and just get a handle on when he's going to come.
okay, because I think he has to give insurance information to Mary still.
Oh, yeah, that could be.
A certificate of insurance and a W-9, and I actually poked him again yesterday asking for it, and he hasn't answered, but then Elaine just told me that there's not a super rush on his end, and I didn't know that, so that's fine, as long as, he knows those are the 2 things that Margaret wanted before we give him a notice to proceed.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So she hasn't given the notice to proceed yet.
Before she left on vacation, I drafted one for her to look at, and I said, I can make this notice to proceed conditional on receipt of those two things, or he can give them. And she said, let's ask him to give them. So I'm just waiting for those.
Okay, and he knew she was going to be on vacation too, so,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, she's on vacation this week, so. That part of it is really in her field to take care of. Now, what else?
Can I just whip in that I just booked you for Zoom through the end of the fiscal year, just because I understand that you're going to start meeting the third Tuesday at 10 a.m.? Is that right?
For
Yes.
Zoom through the year on the third Tuesday at 10 a.m. Okay.
For 2 hours each time, but that's not my town government. So you have the information, and in case there is Zoom, if there isn't Zoom and we are able to go back in person, then I can get rid of the Zoom later. But now you're going to be booked through the end of the fiscal year just in case you need it.
Okay. So that works with what we'd hoped was going to happen before.
And I emailed that Zoom stuff to all 4 of you and Eloise. So whoever gets it up on my town government, you all have the information now. I just did that this morning.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll do a dummy agenda. And if I give that to Eloise, she'll get those all up for us.
And that's the only other requirement that we were lacking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, once she had the Zoom information, she put this meeting up and just made up an agenda, and I went in and fixed it up a little bit a matter of minutes later. But we just need a dummy agenda for her to use so that they can put them up right through the year.
Is it necessary to, if you really wanted to have a more specific agenda, you know?
Oh, no, you can change those.
Okay, but you change it through her.
No. Once it's
No,
up on, once it's up on my town government, I can go in and change it anytime. You can go in and change it anytime.
Okay,
Those of us that have the access to it. That would be a kind of a normal thing to do, at least in a month that we knew we had specific business. Okay, that takes care of meetings. And I don't know what else is hanging right now that we do have the business of continuing with the selectmen at their upcoming meeting about space in the Red Fire Station. But I don't know that there's anything that we need to do as the commission right now.
When we met with Margaret, she at the Bullard House with Tim and everything, didn't she mention that it would be okay to move things there temporarily while work is ongoing on the Bullard House?
Yes, but I'm not too sure what her temporarily means. But yes, she did say, and it's the first time anybody has said it for us, that
Right.
we could indeed do this. So that made me feel better. The question is whether we have to revisit that with her again once she's back from vacation. And I mean, I do not want to move stuff there for less than 3 months or anything like that. And I don't think I think the key thing she was trying to get out of was she's not yet assured that the town will keep the building long term.
Right.
And I think that's why she was using the term temporary. based on our meeting with Tim, I don't think we've got to move much out of the house for him.
Have you,
But, I mean,
have you,
for the
have you,
Hmm?
okay, have you done some of the things that he suggested that day?
The only
Have
thing,
you already done any of that?
I've not done them but I'm looking at them and thinking about it. The trouble is that he wants me to move the stuff in the attic so he can get to the edge, but I also want to make sure I preserve a path for him to get to the other end of the attic. So I'm trying to figure out how to best do that and accomplish that. But that's not a big thing. If I have, I mean, I can go up there and do the whole thing in an hour if I have to.
What about, and the other things that he mentioned, they just needed to be moved? Just move to the center of the room or something?
As far as I know, that was
Weren't there other things? Was the attic?
It was in the attic. He wasn't talking
Okay, and
about.
what about that?
He does want to be able to look onto the kitchen floor. So that means moving
Yes,
the
and that would,
pile of boards, and that's okay. We can do that. What I'd really like to do is cut those reasonably to length before moving them, because that would then the pile that we put in the other place won't be as difficult to accommodate. But that's not too bad a thing to do either. And if we had to, we could move them as they are, and that wouldn't take any great amount of time either. So
yeah, I'd rather not.
But I don't want to delay it too greatly either. I want to get them taken care of so that it's ready well before he comes.
Okay, I don't think the board should be cut in case we decide we need them elsewhere, or depending on how we prioritize how the projects are going to go.
Where would we move?
Anybody else have any?
Where would we move the boards?
Where we
Just
plan?
further into the back
Everything that
room?
we have planned is up for re-examination. That's all I can say.
Well, if you cut things, you limit their use, it's true. And without knowing exactly where you're putting them yet,
You know exactly where we're putting them.
and they're all going to be used in that spot?
Yeah.
Okay. So who would do that kind of work, having to cut the boards?
What is your question?
I said, who would then cut the boards for us if that needed to be done in order to move the pile?
Well, I'd say I'd do it, but that won't be a satisfactory answer. I've got a skill saw and a table saw there, and either one of which could cut the board.
Uh-huh.
I still don't think it's a good idea to cut them right now. I mean, they're not ready to go in. I mean, we're not ready to put them in. And I mean, they just need to be moved so that Tim can have access to that floor.
But the size that they are, it's moving them is not so easy. So I think you need to, maybe we need to go down there and you know, look and see what is the best solution to get it moved for Tim. Maybe some can be cut easily and some should be saved longer. it's hard to make a decision while we're sitting in our houses.
What kind of footage are we talking about?
Yeah.
That would be cut off? I mean, will it make much difference?
Oh, it's, let's say roughly 3 feet.
Would you want help to do that, or would you do that by yourself?
It could be done either way.
Yeah.
If we tried to do it on the table saw, we'd need help. If we do it with a skill saw, I can do it myself.
But then if you have to move them, it would certainly be easier if you had help.
Yeah.
I think we should work as a team,
Yeah, I do too, for sure.
you know.
Yeah.
And not all of us can be there as a complete team, but enough of us could be there so that we act as a group when things are problematic or difficult. I mean, I need help to do almost everything.
Somebody want to make motions and make votes on this so that we can decide what to do, or what?
Well, I still don't think they should be cut, okay, until we know what we're doing completely with the Bullard House. I mean, they can be moved, you know, a team can move them the way they are.
You seem to have the idea that nothing can be done on anything at all except after certain other things are accomplished. And
Right, and I believe,
anything that needs to be done in the entrance room that precludes putting the floorboards down.
well, one of the suggestions by the building inspector, I'm just following recommendations, that we not do anything until we have a full picture of what really needs to be done and priorities.
Should we
I'm
give
not
the
trying to be
boards back to whom we got them from so we can get them out of our way?
I'm sorry?
Should we give the boards back to whom we got them from so we won't get them out of our way?
No, Barry.
I
Well, they can be stored in the house. There's room in the house.
June?
I think that we should err on the conservative side, because we're of different minds, and I think that we should leave them intact, and a few of us should move them to the best place in the Bullard House.
Okay, do we need to have a vote on what the best place is?
No.
No, I would say that
We could probably store them in,
we could figure that out when we move them.
we could probably store them in the room that they're intended to be used.
Can he get under the floor adequately if we keep them?
Get under what floor?
Well, you said the reason we need to move the boards is that he needs to get under the kitchen floor.
Well, he just wants to be able to look and verify what has been done there, that's all.
Okay, so however that he can get under there safely, if there's still room on the side, then that's fine. I don't think we need a vote if we're all in agreement to just make a time when a couple of us can get together and do this.
We can do, I'm available on Mondays and Tuesdays.
I could do it Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning to move the board. Okay?
That's fine.
Unless it's 95 degrees.
We have anything else?
I don't know. Is there any other business that needs to come before us this line? Yes. Mary?
Hi. You have an appointment in front of the selectmen on the 31st at 7:30. I didn't know if you discussed that, to talk about the status of the structural survey for Bullard, but also the status of artifacts and the Historical Commission's inventory and storage plans. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, on
also
the 31st?
selectmen were looking for-
And I showed Margaret the draft of that, the earlier draft of that, and that was, she thought that was very helpful. So I think we've got the things taken care of for that day. Yeah.
Good.
And Margaret will be the one probably to talk about the structural survey because she's handling that with Tim right now. So
Okay.
I think we're set for that.
I will share that with all of you so that you have the Zoom instructions if you wanted, to attend that meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Send that to any of us. Yeah. That's on the 29th,
31st.
Monday, the 31st.
31st. Yeah. I knew it was the last end of the month.
Yep.
If there's nothing else, we can have a motion to adjourn.
I have one more thing,
Yeah.
okay? I would like to make a motion. Okay, that we reconsider the structure of the Historical Commission, and I'd like to make a motion that June Miller be chairman of the Historical Commission, Elaine Wickstrom vice chair, and Karen Chandler as our treasurer. Anyone care to second that?
We've got a clerk.
I'm sorry.
You need a chairman and a clerk. The others we can have if we want to.
Can I have a motion to second it so that we can discuss it?
I'll second it.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded. I question that there's no clerk listed.
Well, we don't have any new people coming on board at the moment.
Well, Barry could be clerk if that works out.
If he consents to be.
If he consents to be, that's right. I have some things to say. They're hard to say, but I'll do my best. I think Barry is in a situation where there's a silo of responsibilities, some of which are not very exciting, and that he could offload to someone like me who is conscientious about the small things. And they're not small things, but they're sometimes tedious things, like posting meetings, getting back to people in a timely way, all of those things that kind of keep us on track and help to make us a team rather than have you have so much responsibility. It's hard to feel good about being part of a commission when when that's the situation. You have the strengths that you have, your leadership strengths really are at this time. I mean, this is just my opinion. Your leadership strengths are better served by preparing, programs or whatever education we want for the town. We can't replace the knowledge that you have of town history, or the familiarity you have with the collection. That, there's nobody else that has the depth of experience there. We need you to concentrate on that. I don't necessarily want more responsibility, but I'm willing to take responsibility for the things that are more mechanical and perhaps create a better sense of being a team. If, the whole part of being part of the job is, which is very important, are the demolition hearings. And I would definitely need help with that. There are a lot of things that I would need help with. So it's really, I'm willing, but I see, because I think it would make us better as a commission, at least for a while.
Anything else to be said on the motion?
How do you feel, Barry?
What?
How
How
do
do I feel?
Yeah,
The silo of things is a silo of things, and there's a lot of stuff there. There are things that I can happily cede to someone else. What I see is a frustration from some people, and yet they don't really want to take on all the responsibilities themselves, so they try to find somebody else to stick them with. But they just want to take anything that there is away from me, and that's, hey, if that's what you want to do, you can do it. And I'll do what I do, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do. There are many things I've taken care of and could continue to take care of to the degree that I can, but I can't. If every time I turn around I'm getting second guessed, I don't know that I can do that anymore. So somebody else is chairman, they can take on a whole bunch of this stuff. You ready to vote?
well, I'm not ready to vote, only because I know that there are a lot of things that Barry does. And I want to make sure that if June is going to take over as, in that role, that she's willing to take on all of those things. It's significant. And June has a full plate now. I'm listening to, all the other things that you're a part of. So I do just want to make sure that things are not going to fall through the cracks. There's one thing for, to be said for taking care of the minutia of keeping things moving forward, but I just want to make sure that you have a complete view of what it entails.
It's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot, and it would be better to work together.
Well, June, we usually manage to be working together at some point in the course of a month, and sometimes in the course of a week. Perhaps we can sit down and talk about, even list things that need to be taken care of in that regard, responsibilities that need to be shouldered. And then it'll give you a clearer picture of things, and perhaps it would make for a useful conversation for us in a future meeting to talk about some of those things and see how we might divide up some of those responsibilities. Does that make sense?
That
Well,
would,
we keep talking about these things.
I think we have made progress, though. You know, we have Tim coming in to do the inspection of the bullet house. We're making progress with, you know, moving things to the firehouse. I think the pandemic and these Zoom meetings have cut down considerably on the hands-on things that we were in a good momentum to do, you know, starting back in March. And I don't think you should disregard the forward movement. It doesn't mean that we are where we are. I mean, when you talk about the boards, that's an example of something that should be talked about before you just go ahead and cut boards. That's just an example. But I don't think that we have not been making progress.
I guess the thing about the boards that is my problem is simply that we've had long-term plans, and they have been worked on for a long time and planned up for a long time. And with new members on this board, it has become basically anything that was planned before is under question. And so I've been proceeding that the plans that we had in effect were still in effect, and we could work on them as we could. And now it seems that anything that we had planned before needs to be shelved, and we kind of start from scratch in regard to what our plans are. That's all.
Well, unfortunately, when so much time goes by.
That's right. A lot of time
Right.
has gone by.
Right, and so when time goes by, you then have to revisit, you know, what that plan was, if it still makes sense. And when you have people who are willing to volunteer to, you know, have a project, move forward, it only makes sense to make sure that everybody's on the same page. I don't think that needs to be a negative. I think we all, you know, want the house to be used and be fixed. But there has to be a logical progression of work.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we're looking for right now, Barry. Take it in the right direction.
We have a motion on the floor. We're ready to vote on it.
I vote aye.
Wickstrom, aye.
I have to vote nay. Now, I just am not sure that it needs to be changed right this moment.
I think I'll abstain because I see that we're of two minds. And I think that I think that we could
Excuse me.
have a
just second.
motion.
I've got something.
I think we could have a motion to reorganize. There's only four of us. Perhaps we could move to have Barry as chair. Perhaps we could have a vice chair. I could be the vice chair so that I can work with him maybe more closely on keeping us together as a team and moving us forward a little bit faster. I mean, I do try to make a lot of reminders, but it's frustrating for me sometimes to do so many reminders. That
I'm
would
gonna
be,
vote, I'm gonna vote nay at this time. So the motion fails. It will be my intention to have that discussion with June I spoke of a bit ago. And perhaps we can revisit this next month, the general subject.
Yeah, I would like to revisit it next month for sure.
Is there anything else to come before the meeting?
Barry, when are you available to talk? Are you available this afternoon or tomorrow? I've got to meet with a realtor.
This afternoon is okay for me.
What time is good for you?
I don't know.
1:30?
1:30 is all right?
Okay. Do you want to
Um,
meet in the historical room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn. It is 10:55.
Is there a second?
Second,
Hager, aye.
June, I.
Elaine, aye.
Karen, I.
Meeting is adjourned.